Hey team, I'm Greg and this is Studio 214. Today we're going to finish what we started, a beautiful sunlit cloudy ocean scene. This is what we're working with, the pick from Sweet Gin. Thanks, hon. So let's get started. Here's the supply list. Titanium white, yellow ochre, ultramarine blue, Payne's gray, neutral gray, burnt umber, and Mars black. Ready to roll? Let's paint! Here's what we got so far. I think it's a pretty good start. Let's get in those rocks and see where it goes. We start off with using burnt umber and Mars black to put in a really dark foreground. See how it just pushes everything back? Yes. This is why you save the darkest darks for the foreground. It just really gives us the depth we want. Just throw it in. We are only concerned with making the top edge look like rocks. The rest, just throw in color. Now with some neutral gray, I put some midtones in on the rocks. I am going to build up layer after layer on these guys, so strap in. It's important to really give these guys some character, so vary the colors and build up the texture. Now with some burnt umber, I'm going to make another color to really add some variance to these rocks. It's super important for me in my work to have as much variety as possible in the color scheme, especially in these rocks. Far off, it's okay to play with 2 or 3 colors and be good. But in the foreground, the more midtones and shadows you work in, the more dramatic it becomes. And in my opinion, the better it becomes. But what the heck is a better painting? To answer that, please welcome Andouille, the French art critic. Hey Andouille. Bonjour, je m'appelle Andouille. I am the world's greatest critique. Well, good. So you know what makes art good and what makes art great. Oui, I do. And this is not it. This thingy you are doing with your hand. You mean painting? Oh, is this what you are doing? You have fooled me. For it appears as if you are making a mockery of painting. Look at your colors. They do not match. Well, I wanted to brighten the scene and make it more pleasant. In this you have failed, for it is unpleasant to look at. Well, that's not nice. Beyond this, what is your painting trying to say, eh? What is it telling me about the human condition? Nothing is said! Apatouille! Well, I thought it was a pretty picture and I wanted to make it into a painting. I wanted to give it my own twist. Show what I see. Well, look at the big shot, eh? Your art says, look how beautiful God's creation is, eh? No politique, no philosophy, no statement. Yeah, basically. And this is why it is no good. I do not care one little tiny wafer thin inch about your painting. If I wanted a picture of the beach, I would take the picture of the beach. The world is full of the pretty paintings. What makes you think I care about seeing the world as you see it? In order to be great, you must say something. You must break boundaries. You must trod where no person has dared to trod before this time. The French are the perfect example because the French are the best. Okay, calm down, Andouille. What do you suggest? I would take the white paint and start over. This would be good, no? A great idea. I agree. Hey, shut up. No great ideas. Just thoughts on how to improve. First off, no reference photos. Real artists do not use photos. I can tell you are an amateur because you use a photo. Go paint in plein air, and then you will be on your way. Deux, look at your resume. Where have you studied? Not a right pedigree. How can you be taken seriously, eh? Without a piece of paper that says, hello, this is me, Andouille. I'm a real painter. I have this framed diploma from a prestigious university. En toi, you must say something. It is boring to look at beauty without the message. Do you know how many people are walking around calling themselves painters who paint all the pretty things, who say nothing, who mean nothing, whose work and paintings are worth nothing? Ha ha, mon Dieu, you must stand out. Only at this particular time will you then be great. Okay, so no photos. Oui, and no chance without getting a degree first. Absolument. And have a message other than God's beauty of creation. This is critical! If you can do these things, then it matters not if you can paint. So you don't have to have any painting skill or ability to realistically recreate a subject to be great? You stupid American, grow up! Of course no! Who do you think you are, Sergeant, with your landscape paintings? Well, actually, yeah, I was an E5 sergeant in the army. Oh, bien pour vous! Skill with the brush is not a prerequisite for greatness. Painting and art is not a meritocracy. Well, Mr. Art Critic, what do you paint? Do not be absurd. I am a critique. I do not paint. I do not create the art. I judge it. And a great many times, much like this painting is terrible. They should pay me to burn it up. Well, Andouille, good luck to you, bud. I must bid you a fond, but not too fond, adieu. I will come back at a later date and taunt you a second time, but this time, don't waste mine this steaming canvas of a merde. Ladies and gentlemen, Andouille the Critic. You know, as silly as he sounds, I have heard everything he just said be said by other artists. I've heard people say that real artists never use reference photos. I've even heard artists lament that photography is not an art form at all, as they judge their colleagues and fellow artists and what they are producing. What do you guys think? What's your reaction when you hear such myopic and opinionated views on things so obviously subjective? Leave a comment and tell me your experience. I think it's crazy to judge art, especially painting, on such subjective qualities that really don't have anything to do with the visual presentation of the piece. I mean, your thoughts on whether or not you like something is important, duh, but judging a visual piece of art with criteria that supersedes the actual aesthetic is crazy! I think the first thing that should be evaluated is the composition itself. Are the colors right? Is it balanced? Is it pleasing to look at? Is the piece painted well? Is it artistic and compelling? Those are the questions that should be asked, and those are the things that should matter first! I think. What do you guys think? That being said, I think the truth is that there are so many talented artists out there, just so many. It is a humbling experience to be in the same category as some of these guys. But with such a large volume of awesome work, of expertly painted pieces, how do you separate them? How do you determine the gravitas of one piece of expertly crafted art against another? So other factors have to be considered, and for artists to stand out, their art alone isn't good enough. Now that's up to you to decide if that's a good thing or not, but that's just the reality. This, in my mind, is why portraits of famous people tend to sell well and do well in general, painted well or not. The piece becomes more than just paint. It garners a deeper meaning because of people's connection to the subject. This is why political art is so popular. Well, most of it, some of it. It shines a light or makes people feel something, anything. So when they choose a painting or piece of art to have and look at, it helps them to bond with it if there's a deeper meaning to it, and that's understandable. The problem comes when artists forsake skill and painterly qualities and opt to focus on saying something, usually offensive, like a little child acting out to get attention from their parents, rather than on creating a great piece of art. The priorities are all mixed up. The first thing they evaluate is not the quality of the piece, but what the piece is saying. And that seems backward to me. The meaning of what your art says will fade with time, and the context will be lost to future viewers. But the visual appeal is timeless, if done right. This is why classic painters are as awesome now as they were back in the day. Consider the timeless appeal of the Ninja Turtles, Leo and Mikey, Donnie, Raph. Throw in some Sargent and Van Gogh, and that's just to name a few. And I think we as artists would do well to remember our first job is to create art, not to be propaganda for whatever political or social cause du jour happens to be in vogue, you know? As always, and most importantly, what do you think? This is a tough subject, so please try to be thoughtful in your response, and don't let anger or hate lead your comment. Or do. Let me hear it. Whoa, the view's amazing from on top this soapbox. So I'm going to step down and finish this painting. The reference photo had a plant on the right side, so using sap green and titanium white, I put it in. It's kind of nice, and breaks up the right side, adding more variety of color and hopefully a little interest. To finish off, I use my 1-inch brush with some sap green and add some grass and small bushes in between the rocks. That's nice. Well, hey guys, I think we're done, and I think it came out really well. If you like this and want to see more, please consider subscribing. If you dig what I'm putting out, I would really appreciate hitting that like button. But hey, the other one works too, I guess. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter and Pinterest, and leave a comment to help me know how you feel. I'm feeling good, and it's time to go to the house. For Studio 214, this is Greg. Keep your paint dry and your mugs frosty. Out.